Hey, we're stepping in the box for this episode of Quick Pitch, and today we are talking about the D1 preseason rankings.
What everybody has been waiting all year for, the preseason rankings. And it goes without saying that the unanimous number one is Mercer. Just kidding.
I was gonna say something.
The unanimous number one is by a long shot, Oklahoma. The number two gets really weird. Number two, not completely across the board, but between Softball
Almost.
America and USA Softball's rankings, they both agree that Tennessee is number two. And if we, yeah. If we look back at who the number two team in the nation was last year, it wasn't
Not
Tennessee,
well, it's not Tennessee.
and nor was it Stanford D1 softball. But we're gonna put the national runners up from a year ago somewhere between 3 and 4, because the second most wins in the country, they deserve a 3 or 4 spot. Not the 2 spot, 3 or 4.
It just makes sense, you know?
Yeah. Florida State, you lose your ace and you're suddenly nowhere near as good as you were anymore.
Forget everybody
Ever,
else that you bring back.
yeah. Forget the rest of the team that you brought back and the new recruits you brought back, who we've talked about before are some really stellar athletes. Yeah, forget about those people. You lost Catherine Sandercock, so
One man band.
maybe you make it back to the national championship. I will say, in all fairness, Tennessee's got a stout lineup, and Stanford added Taryn Kern. So
Yeah, well,
there's that. Stanford brings back Najee Harris. Najee
Kennedy.
Kennedy. Yeah, Najee Kennedy. Uh, they bring in Taryn Kern. They have a Gold Glover behind the plate in Ali Kaneshiro. And they also brought in Arkansas's Gatorade Player of the Year and Alyssa Houston as a pitcher. So,
Yeah, I'd probably rank Stanford up there for sure.
yeah, I mean, they
0.5
had a,
ERA and
yeah,
23 bombs.
yeah. But I know they got hot at the right time last year and they ended up having a really, really good season. But out like offensively, they didn't have a whole lot of production last year.
No,
When
they
you're
they rode the pitchers back.
Yeah, I mean, without Najee Kennedy, like they're an average team.
Yep.
They're
Well, that's why they went
comparable,
and got Taryn Kern.
right? Um, I mean, I don't know. Two people don't make a team. That's
Well, for
just,
Florida State, one person made a team, so
yeah, apparently. Let's see. Texas is at 5 on USA and D1's polls
and
and
7.
7 on Softball America's. I feel like that's pretty fair. And it might be a little high.
I think 7's probably more accurate.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm putting Clemson above Texas.
Yeah, I definitely think Clemson's better than Texas. I think Georgia's probably better than Texas. Um, I will say I do think Texas is better than Baylor. They have those two teams appropriately ranked. And when you're talking about the Big 12, it's gonna go Oklahoma, Texas, and then probably Baylor this year. Yeah. I Now I will say Oklahoma State did bring in some pretty stout freshmen. Um, and they have 3 or 4 key returners coming back. But they lost a lot of pieces.
Yeah. Oh, I'm feeling like they're gonna drop.
Yeah. I
Sorry,
feel
Oklahoma
this
State.
I feel yeah. I feel the same. Let's see, they're 14 softball America, 12 D1, and 11 USA softball. They're ranked behind Baylor by Softball America, but significantly higher than Baylor on D1 and USA. I say significantly, but it's like a few spots
8
I'll,
spots.
on USA. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will say I I'm a little bit shocked at how well three things. Three things. One, that Northwestern is not across the board in the top 25.
Yeah, that's not making any sense. And USA softball still only put them at 25.
D1 only put them at 24. Softball America was like,
Nah.
nope, you're not good anymore. One and done. But I mean, they had a really good year last year. That they lost a lot of pieces for sure. They brought in a pretty big freshman
Mm-hmm.
class and they brought in a handful of transfers, but not many, right? Like one or two, I
I was about to say, I
think.
think they only brought in 2.
Yeah. So I say a handful, and not being, I'm not telling the truth when I say a handful.
Well,
But the other two things I'm surprised to see is how high Alabama is ranked. Granted, they made it to the World Series last year, but they did
with an
not
ugly,
play.
ugly season.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they were 45-22, so they still a 40+ win season, but like they did not play Alabama softball last year. They were not scoring runs like they typically do. They
Right.
struggled to score runs. And then obviously with Montana Fouts dealing with injury all year, like that hurt them a good bit as well. But I don't know, just they're not ranked like super high, but
I think as far as between these three, between D1 and Softball America and USA Softball, I think I probably agree with USA Softballs the most.
at 14.
At 14, yeah. I think 22 from Softball America's, or 21, sorry, from Softball America is too low, and I don't think they're sitting 11 preseason.
Yeah,
D1 Softball disagrees with me, but
I don't see them sitting at number 11, and I don't see them sitting as low as 21. Um, but I don't know, man. I'm just not. I mean, they did go out and get Kayla Beaver from Central Arkansas, and she was an absolute stud last year. She was in the running for USA Softball Player of the Year. So I'd imagine like at least in the circle, they're going to find a way to stay in ball games for sure.
Hmm.
But if they can't hit better than what they did last year,
It ain't gonna matter.
it's going to be a struggle bus. They'll be barely squeaking out games from teams that they would ordinarily blow out of the water. But all three rankings have Auburn somewhere between 19 and
Deep down
20.
there.
And that makes no sense with the third place finish in the SEC last year.
Yeah,
Um, but the other biggest one for me is just how much everybody's banking on Nebraska to just be phenomenal this year with the addition of Jordy Ball.
yeah, they got them ranked what? 13, 15, 17?
Yeah. Not that I don't agree with Nebraska's going to be the real deal with Jordy Ball, but my gosh,
You're gonna put
that's
it in the
high.
top 20 to start.
Yeah, that's high, dude. I could see. I mean, you could say that they did the same thing with Florida. Let's see.
18.
Softball America is the only one who had Florida outside of the top 20. And that makes sense to me. You had a pretty terrible year last year. But like you added some really awesome transfers and brought
And
in two, not two, but you brought in just some beasts of freshmen.
mm-hmm.
So like it's understandable you expect Florida to bounce back immediately with the additions that they've made around Skylar Wallace.
I was about to say,
Um,
and you keep Skylar Wallace.
yeah, but to put a team that didn't do so hot last year in the top 20 right off the bat is kind of crazy. I think Softball America got it right with Florida, putting them at 24. And like, yeah, we think you're going to be good, but you
But you're
still
gonna
gotta
show us
prove
how
that
good you are.
you're still gonna prove that you belong higher on the list. Now, Softball America did something real wild and put South Carolina at 17.
Yeah, that one's not making sense to me.
Again, another 40+ win team that got hot at the right time, but prior to the latter half of the season was kind
Dog
of
water.
trash. Kind of trash.
Kind of
Just
funky.
yeah, just underperforming. Um, I'd say USA softball and D1 softball got LSU's ranking right, right there in the middle of the pack. Softball America's a
Yep.
little, little higher
You
on
think?
the LSU bandwagon there. Um,
What about Arkansas and Oregon? What's your thoughts on that one?
let's see. 14, 16, 13. That's not far off between the three for Oregon. And they had a pretty good year last year. Uh, I think it's tough. It's tough to say. And they still have Stevie Hansen coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And she was their ace last year, and she was really good. Um, it's tough with the Pac-12 because I mean you expect UCLA to win the Pac-12,
Careful.
but I mean you got Oregon and Washington, right there with them. So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough for me with Oregon. Now Arkansas, USA has them at 12. D1 has them at 18. Softball America has them at 8. Jeez, that's a spread if I've ever seen one, bro. You want to talk
Yeah.
about that's a charcuterie board of preseason rankings. Got the full spread, bro.
The
Um,
8 is what threw me off because I'm not.
yeah. See,
Mm-mm.
so Arkansas added some pretty good pieces, um, especially with uh Nia Carter, Nia
Nia
Carter,
Carter.
Nia Carter.
Not
Okay,
Nia. Not.
I think it was Nia. I think we when we were
Well,
looking at
because
her
it's
highlights
spelled
from
like
Iowa.
Mia.
Yeah, I think it's Nia Carter. I think we were looking at her highlights and it said Nia Carter because she came from Iowa and we were watching them. Anyway, they add Nia Carter, who batted like almost 500 last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they still have Rylan Hedgecock coming back, who blasted 21 homers.
Yep.
Um, can't remember who else they have coming back, but I know like they have a bunch of studs coming back. But to put them in the top 10 after not making it to a super regional is
Thanks
pretty
to
crazy.
Oregon.
Yeah. And you got Arkansas outranking Oregon in softball Americas and USA softballs. Now, I will say USA softball's ranking of Arkansas and Oregon makes a little bit more sense because they're right there together at 12 and
Right.
13. And the last 2 years, when Arkansas and Oregon have been matched up in regionals, it's been a toss up. It's been a close game. It's come down to the wire, and like it's just been a really good matchup to see. So I agree with USA softball keeping them close. Softball America putting them in the top 10. That's a little crazy.
Yeah, I disagree
Now,
with that one.
yeah. Now Duke being in the top 10, I agree with that. You got Florida State, Clemson, and Duke, all from the ACC, all super strong softball powerhouses. Like, and they're always just fighting each other, trying to get to Omaha or not Omaha, freaking.
Wrong sport.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Uh, always trying to. They're always fighting each other to try to get to the World Series. Uh,
What city is the World Series in?
why? Why would you do that?
Because it's just so funny.
It's
You
not
were so
funny.
fast to say Omaha. You said,
I
"Oh, they're always
was.
trying to get to Omaha." Ah, not Omaha.
Yeah. Oh, I had it, and it's just like brain fart, brain fart.
Isn't it Oklahoma
Oklahoma
City?
City, Oklahoma City. That's it. Jeez, terrible. I knew it was in
Is it?
Oklahoma, and I was like Norman, Stillwater. Nope, those are not it. Yeah, Oklahoma City. So as far as the ACC goes, like I agree with those rankings throughout. They're all in the top 10. I do disagree with Florida State being a 3-4. I think they should definitely be higher on the list, but I think it's a little bit wild to put Utah as low as they did on all three rankings after Utah made it to the College World Series. But
Yeah, and they, whatever. What do I know? What are they? 13, 14, and 16?
yeah,
Seems wrong.
yeah. Softball America does not think very highly of Washington, which
Yeah, what? Like, they're just like, nah, Huskies are getting 22. That just,
yeah,
we want to put them right here. We need a filler spot. What?
yeah. I don't know. I, I I'm I'm happy to see that the Raging Cajuns are represented on every preseason ranking.
As it should be
Uh,
with a
yeah,
50 win season.
yep. definitely. I would say San Diego State deserves to be in the top 25 more so than Texas A&M.
There's no reason I can deal with USA softball's 24 of Texas A&M. Okay, sure, yeah.
D1's 25, Texas A&M.
Softball America's
Nah.
got him at 19. No. But we're not gonna put Northwestern on there.
Yeah, Texas A&M. I don't know, man. I'm not sold on Texas A&M. Finished 500 in the SEC last year. 35-21. And like you're Texas A&M has a very similar record to Nebraska from a year ago.
One game, or no, not one game off.
It's 2
Yeah.
games.
Well, yeah.
Um, but Texas A&M didn't go out and add a Jordan Ball. They're very similar to Florida from a year ago as far as our record goes. But Texas A&M didn't go out and add the same pieces that Florida added.
Right.
I don't understand where we're coming up with this. Texas A&M is just so good this year to start off the bat, like to lead off the season. I don't understand. I'm not sold on it. I disagree. Now
Well,
Virginia
maybe they'll
Tech,
prove you wrong.
maybe they will. Maybe they will. I don't know.
Hokey
Virginia Tech,
pokies.
though, yeah, the old Hokies. I don't agree with them being 18, where Softball America has them. Definitely a 23, where USA Softball has them. D1 Softball left them off completely. I disagree with that. If anything, you leave off Texas A&M and throw the freaking Hokies up there. I mean, their offense was almost unstoppable. They're a lot like
Yeah.
Indiana. You know, it tore the cover off the ball, struggled in the circle. Um, I mean, I don't know if they really found some better pitchers this year. Uh, but I know they're going to hit the ball still.
Right. And my question here is, okay, if you put Texas A&M in there, okay, so be it. But I don't think you can put Texas A&M and not Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know either, man. I know Softball America is really high on both of them. They seem to think that both of those teams are going to outperform Auburn, Alabama, and Washington, which is crazy sauce to me.
I definitely disagree with that.
I don't know what they're
Ain't no
doing.
way.
I don't know what they're doing at Softball America. I don't know what old Sydney Supple, who just signed on with Softball America. I don't know what she's doing. I don't know how she signed on after Softball America released the preseason rankings and her alma mater's not even freaking on there.
I don't know. Like my thing, Softball America is like they're 1 through 7, pretty spot on, with the exception of Florida State. Maybe I like the Vols being number 2, but
of course.
1 through 7, right? 1 through 7, spot on.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, Tennessee, Florida State, Stanford, Clemson, Georgia, Texas. Perfect.
Yeah.
7 for 7. And then it's like Arkansas at number 8, wrong. Duke at 9, cool, yeah. UCLA 10, Baylor 11, LSU, Utah, OSU, Nebraska probably fits right there. But you got freaking Oregon at 16 and Arkansas at 8. That makes no sense. South Carolina's riding number 7. It's like they were like, let's really focus 1 through 7. We'll just throw some other teams around in the other 18 options that we have.
The top 7 across all three are the
Pretty
same.
good.
They're the same teams anyway, not necessarily the same
Yeah,
order,
yeah.
but they're the same teams. Which, yeah, I mean, I agree with the top 7 for all three rankings. Obviously, with the coaches poll coming out tomorrow, very curious to see what that says. I don't think it's going to be a huge deviation. I think we might see um
Wonder if they have Northwestern on there.
it's the coaches poll. I'd imagine the coaches are going to be like Northwestern had a really good season last year. Yeah, they lost some pieces, but until they prove that they're not the same team that they were last year, we can't leave them off. I mean, we're coaches. That's our thought process. I don't see how
Right.
other coaches don't think that way. You know what I mean? Like until you prove that you don't belong on this list because you had been on this list all last year,
Yeah.
why am I going to leave you off? That doesn't make any sense to me. Um, I imagine Nebraska will be on the in the top 25 on the coaches poll, but I do not think that they're going to be as high as they are. The coaches
I think
poll
they're
for even for like football and baseball, coaches tend to put unproven teams in like the last 3 spots.
yeah.
So while Jordy Ball is a proven pitcher, Jordy Ball with Nebraska is unproven. So I would imagine Nebraska is going to hover somewhere between 23 and 25 on the coaches poll. I'd say Florida does the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia Tech, I imagine, does the same thing.
What about Texas? And
See, this is just one of the ones that I just wholeheartedly disagree with even being in the top 25 because they were just an average team last year. Like, yeah, they could definitely prove that they belong in the top 25, but they didn't prove that last year.
right.
So, in my mind, I'm not putting them in there. South Carolina makes sense because they got hot towards the end of the year and they played really, really well and ended
Mm-hmm.
up with a 40-win season. Texas A&M can't say that. So, I don't know.
I
I
guess we're
could
gonna
be
have to wait and
complete.
see.
Yeah, I could be completely wrong, but I'd imagine San Diego State is on the coaches poll in the top 25. I mean, I almost wouldn't even be surprised to see Liberty on there, Grand Canyon, Boston.
Boston had like what, 52 wins or something?
Yeah, they had a bunch of wins last year. Granted, they play in a very, very weak conference.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that will be taken into account with the coaches poll. But if I would say if Boston's not in the top 25, they're going to receive votes. Because
How can
how
you
can you
not?
not? Yeah. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think Central Florida will receive votes. Who else? Outside of the Power Five. Because obviously top 25 preseason rankings across all three of these rankings and to include the coaches poll, probably going to be power five heavy.
Well, Louisiana's gonna make it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like Louis, the Raging Cajuns will be there. Central Florida will receive
Should
votes.
be
I don't
close.
know.
I was about to say should be close
Yeah.
if they're not in there.
Yeah, I don't know that they'll be in the top 25, but for the coaches poll, but they'll definitely receive votes. Who else?
You already said Liberty,
Yeah, Liberty should receive votes. I would say Grand Canyon will receive at least one vote.
Memphis. No, I'm just kidding.
Come on, bro. Like we said, Boston will probably receive at least one vote.
You think MTSU receives any?
They have to, right?
I mean, they won the conference and went 2-3 or
Won a conference,
3-2.
yeah, won the conference tournament and almost stole a regional from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I would say they definitely deserve to get some votes. Um, North Texas could get votes. Charlotte could get votes.
I don't know who else.
Marshall, maybe.
Marshall got
Marshall,
scammed last year.
yeah, didn't. Yeah, they did. Um, Miami, Ohio
I don't remember what they did.
won the conference.
Oh, hello.
Won the Maction. Uh, yeah, I mean, I think that about sums it up for Group of Five
Yeah,
and others in smaller, tiny conferences. But
I'm excited to see what the coaches poll says.
yeah, I'm very interested in to see what the coaches poll says tomorrow. Really interested to see how the season plays out with Oklahoma. I know everybody in the country is they're super excited to see what Oklahoma's done for the sport, but we're all kind of just ready to see a change. Also, at the same time, want to see history made. So,
Yeah, it's like you want to see somebody get a 4P,
yeah, that would be really cool. But then
but also it's
definitely
like just
at
stop winning. Just
yeah.
quit.
Yeah. If they won four in a row, then it's if they win their fourth title in a row this year, it's definitely going to be oh, all right.
It's
All right.
over. Okay.
You, we got to do something different. Come on. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to see how it all plays out because I mean, Clemson almost beat them last year in supers.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were close. They were like one out away.
Doesn't that just suck? That hurts, I know. Mm.
And I know obviously Tennessee's strong enough. I think Tennessee can beat Oklahoma as well. Um,
I
I
think
can't.
I think for sure Oklahoma is more beatable this year than they were last year. I don't want to say for sure. That seems too confident. I'm not that confident in
Yeah,
that statement. Not that confident.
I will say I don't disagree that they're more beatable this year without Jordy Ball because like they still have Nicole May, and Nicole May was just as good as Jordy
Yep.
Ball last year. She she is a stud in her own right. Um,
They still got the backs
but
of
yeah,
a lot of
they
their
still
lineup.
yeah they still have T.R. Jennings, Alyssa Brito, Kinsey
Jada
Hansen,
Coleman.
Jada Coleman. They're still stacked 1 through 9. Um, but to not have Jordy Ball and Nicole May, granted that they have Lexi Kilfoyle. No, not Lexi Kilfoyle.
No.
Kelly Maxwell.
Yeah.
They picked up Kelly Maxwell. Kelly Maxwell transferred from Oklahoma State to Oklahoma. And Kelly Maxwell was phenomenal last year for
Right on par.
for Oklahoma State. But Kelly Maxwell was not Jordy Ball. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. If Nicole May is going to have to pick up a little bit of that slack, or if they're going to continue with more of an even split like they did in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
I just don't see Kelly Maxwell keeping other teams at bay as well as Jordy Ball did, to where every single start Kelly Maxwell throws in is a 5 inning game.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So not obviously this sounds like it sounds harsh to say, to like bring down Kelly Maxwell and compare her to Jordy Ball, because she's like, I'm essentially saying she's not as good as Jordy Ball, but that's not I'm not like I'm not trying to say that necessarily. Kelly Maxwell is a different pitcher than Jordy Ball.
Right.
I just, if you compare numbers to numbers, Kelly Maxwell was not as good as Jordy Ball last year. And that means that teams will score more runs against Kelly Maxwell than they would have against Jordy Ball, which means Oklahoma has to put up more runs as an offense, or, they play more innings. And if they're playing more innings, and their pitchers are throwing more innings, their pitchers are going to get tired. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a
Yeah,
it's
no,
just a snow it's a snowball effect, and I'm really curious to see how it all plays out.
you know what I wish would have happened? I wish Jordy Ball would have gone to Stanford. Could you imagine you get 0.5 ERA or 0.9 ERA? Take your pick. You're not scoring a freaking run. Like,
And then
oh, that would have been crazy.
Taryn Kern just has to go 1 for 3 with a home run. That's wild, bro.
That would have been insane.
You shouldn't put
Anyways,
these.
Tennessee's gonna win it all, so
I mean, they got
and
Peyton
it's knocked on
Gottschall
wood if you're
and
curious.
they got Peyton Gottschall and Carlin Pickens. Carlin Pickens struggled with a little bit of command last year.
Yeah, but she's not going to this year. Talk to her.
I mean, she was obviously really good, won freshman of the year last year for the SEC, but uh, yeah, no, I'm very interested to see how this all plays out, how the rankings change in the months to come. Definitely don't see Oklahoma State sitting that high for very long. I don't see Texas A&M sitting that high for very long.
Yeah, definitely not. I don't see Florida sitting that low for very long.
No. And Softball
Or
America's
Arkansas.
Arkansas is not going to sit that high for very long. I don't know though. They might.
No, because UCLA is gonna work their way back to make their fans happy again.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter where anybody's ranked, so long as they make it to the playoffs. And anything can happen in regionals. You can just ask the Bruins about it.
Yeah,
You can host the regional and go 0-2, baby. 2-Q.
just like that.
Oh man. Well, right. We'll check out the coaches poll tomorrow. And then we'll put out some composite rankings.
I wish I
See.
could. I wish I could just. I don't know. I just want the coaches poll to not have some of the people that are on this on these rankings so badly.
Yeah, I mean, it's really only like one or two for me
One,
that I don't think.
or at least bump some
Mm,
people down. Hardcore,
yeah.
bump them down like Arkansas #8, but
Yeah. All right. So coaches poll tomorrow, composite rankings by us. So we get a better feel for
best
where everybody
rankings.
stands. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for this episode of Click Pitch.